Hello and welcome. We are the Ayala Prime Properties team based in the Houston area, and today we are sharing our top 12 tips for first-time homebuyers looking to buy in 2026. My name is Candace, and my goal for today is to help you confidently begin to navigate the home buying process and get into your new home in 2026. My first tip for you today is to start early. Even if you're thinking of moving this summer, when the kids get out of school, or at the end of next year, there are steps you can take right now that will help you get into your own home. We're going to talk about some of those steps in this presentation. If you're in college right now, you can be thinking about home ownership. You could be thinking about whether or not it's better for you to rent or home. And also remember that home ownership is often about you buying your home for your family or for you to live in, but it also can be about building wealth. And so, as you're thinking about the factors that contribute to whether or not you want to own your own home, think about you living in your home, but also future wealth building, building equity, building potential rental properties or multifamily properties into your wealth portfolio. As you begin the journey to home ownership, you want to get organized, especially your financial documents. Mortgage lenders are going to ask you for your identification, W-2s, tax returns, and pay stubs. They're going to want to see that you have money in the bank. So if you lost your license, you want to go ahead and get it renewed. If you have money in a safe in your home or somewhere else, instead of in a bank account, you're going to want to talk to a mortgage lender about how to strategically begin depositing some of that money. If you get child support or you receive child support or you pay child support, you're going to need documentation for that. If you own your own business, there are specific documentation that you will need for your mortgage lending process. And so you want to go ahead and begin getting that documentation together as well. The lending process runs so much more smoothly when you have these documents together. Our next tip for today is to shop for a lender. We recommend that you get at least two mortgage quotes. Lending houses operate differently. You can ask them to do an initial soft pull on your credit so that your credit score is not impacted by the lender requesting an application, but shopping around will help you get the best terms for your situation. We also recommend that you ask the lender what fees they charge. Ultimately, you want to be able to compare the interest rates, the fees, the closing timeframes, and the services being offered by each lender that you shop around for. So, our recommendation and the next tip we have for you today is to get pre approved early. Even if you are not 100% sure you are ready to buy a house right now, we recommend you reach out to at least two lenders and do a pre approval application. This will help with two possible scenarios. One, which is what we hear people are most afraid of, is you not getting approved. If that happens, it's okay. If you're not approved, then the lender will give you clear next steps on the things you need to do to get approved. Then you're not trying to guess on ways to improve your credit or how much money you need in the bank or how many pay stubs you need to get together. They will give you clear next steps so that you can get a pre approved. The next scenario is if you are pre approved, you will have a price range for the houses you can start looking at, and you can ask about the steps you might need to take if you're approved for an amount that is smaller than you wanted, or the houses that you are looking for are in a slightly higher price range. You can talk to the lender about what you need to do to take steps to get approved for an additional amount. But the bottom line is getting pre-approved early will help you be better informed about the home ownership process and your clear next steps. Next tip for today is to get a loan estimate. Once you have gotten through the process of pre-approval, we highly recommend that you request a loan estimate from the lenders that you have requested a pre-approval through. A loan estimate is different from a pre-approval. The loan pre-approval is the amount that you are pre-approved for. So it gives you a price range to begin looking for properties. A loan estimate has additional details like the loan amount, interest rate, loan terms. What would your projected payments be that includes the principal amount of the mortgage, interest, taxes, and insurance? It includes projected closing costs and the estimate of the cash that you might need to close. It's not exact because you haven't put an offer in on a property with an exact amount, but it gives you an idea to understand what your budget would look for. Noting that lenders don't automatically give this to you. So you're going to want to request it. And if a lender says, oh, I can't do that, I don't know, I don't offer a loan estimate, then that's a pretty big red flag for us that this might not be the lender that you want to go for, because they should be able to give you some estimates so that you have an idea in your mind about how much you're looking to spend monthly and in total. My next tip for you today is to do some research on down payment assistance programs. Every state in the United States has a down payment assistance program. There are quite a few of them here in Texas. There are down payment assistance programs that are statewide, like TSHAC, but there are also some that are specific to counties and city municipalities. And so you want to talk to both your realtor and your lender about down payment assistance programs that they may offer. Some specific lenders offer down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. This is like a scholarship to buy your first home. Lenders know that the biggest barrier, challenge, and fear is around the amount of money needed to come to the table to close for the purchase of your first home. So these are scholarships to help alleviate some of that burden or challenge to get you into your first home. So we recommend that you ask about it. It is specific to first-time home buyers. So if you know that you might struggle to get the down payment together, this is a barrier to home ownership for you, or even if you're just curious whether or not you would qualify for a down payment assistance program, then begin talking to your lender. Some of these programs require a class for you to take. They might require you to do a few things in the application process, which goes back to our very first tip for home buyers, which was to start early. And so when you are thinking about getting into home ownership, I recommend that you start early in the down payment assistance process so that you know what's available for you in your situation. Our next tip today is to check for buyer protections in your contract. Many first-time homebuyers feel fear in the process of buying their first home. It can be overwhelming. This is normal. However, there are some protections that are typically in your contract that you want to talk through with your realtor. One of the most common is the option period or the due diligence period. This is a time frame set aside and secured by an option period check after you go under contract to do your inspections, research the neighborhood, do a cost analysis with your lender to make sure that this is the right property for you. During that option period, which the normal or average option period might be 7 to 10 days. If it's a property that you want to do more extensive inspections on, you could ask for it to be a little bit longer. This is a period where you can cancel the contract for any reason and still get your earnest money. So the earnest money is really securing the contract. It is saying, hey, seller, I'm a buyer and I'm very serious about this house and I want to buy your home. And so that is generally about 1 to 2% of the contract. It's a negotiated price. And so you and your realtor and lender can negotiate the earnest money amount. But during the option period, if you find something in the inspection that you feel like is a no-go, this is too much, it's going to be too costly, then you can cancel your contract within the option period as a buyer protection. Another common protection is a finance contingency that you want to talk to your realtor and lender about. This protection is important in case, for some reason, your lender doesn't approve your application. Something happens in your credit, something happens in the process of securing your loan, and the lender does not approve your application. There is a specific finance contingency that you want to make sure you talk to your realtor and lender about. And finally, there is an appraisal contingency. This protects the buyer, you, in the event that the property does not appraise for the contract price. So a third party comes in, they do some research, they do a market analysis, and they say this is about what your house is worth on the market right now. If that price does not match the contract price, or it is significantly lower, this contingency allows for you to either renegotiate the price or cancel the contract altogether. So these are three contingencies as a buyer, as a first-time home buyer, you want to really make sure that you understand and you talk through with your realtor who's helping you put your contract together, as well as your lender, to make sure that there's nothing additional that you need protection for. As we have been talking about protections in the contract and in the process, I would say one of my number one protections for you is to never skip the home inspection. And that is our next tip. You're buying an expensive asset, probably the most expensive thing you're ever going to buy. And so I would say it is very important to have a third party come in and do a full inspection. An inspection usually costs between $400 to $700. There are add-ons to the inspection if you think that they're necessary, but the inspection report will give you better insight into the property that you're purchasing. It might give you some room to negotiate the price, and it also gives you a list of things that you might want to think about fixing once you buy the house. You might want to prioritize some of those things so that your house is safe and has all of the things that you want it to have in it, or all of the things fixed that you want to fix. Our next tip for today is to know what the HOA covenants are for the community that you're looking to buy a property in. If you are moving into a community with an HOA, then you want to know exactly what rules they enforce for that community. You do not want to be surprised about what you can and cannot do in your home, in your yard, with your landscaping after you purchase the house. So make sure that you ask your realtor about HOA covenants, deed restrictions, and then make sure you do some research as well. Most HOAs have a website. They have the restrictions listed on that website. And so you want to make sure that you're an informed buyer and you know what will be allowed and what will not be allowed if you decide to purchase this property. Our next tip is to negotiate some of the costs of purchasing a property. Right now, as we move from 2025 into 2026, it's moving into a more buyer-friendly market. And so sellers have an incentive to help pay for some of your closing costs. That is not always the case. The market changes and ebbs and flows pretty frequently. So ask your realtor about negotiating the cost of things like the title policy. Ask about including sellers' concessions to help contribute to closing costs. Ask them about, are there closing costs embedded in the process that can be negotiated? Many people are not aware that these costs can, in fact, be negotiated, and you can shop around for title companies, for title policies. All of those pieces of a contract are negotiated. And so you want to make sure that you have good communication with your realtor so that you understand how to get the best deal for you, and you understand the costs that you're going to incur in the closing process. I know this seems like a crazy one, but I really feel like I need to remind you, never sign anything you don't understand. There are contracts that come. You want to make sure that you sit down and go through the contract. Don't feel like your questions are stupid or you're crazy. Ask, I don't know what this term means. If you don't know what earnest money means, if you don't know what a contingency period is, if you don't understand an appraisal or the findings of an appraisal, please ask your realtor, ask your lender. Make sure that the professionals that are helping you slow down and help you understand exactly what you're agreeing to sign. Also, make sure that everything that you agree to is in writing. If you and the seller decide you want to keep the refrigerator, a playscape in the backyard, a pool table, all of those agreements need to be in writing. And so you want to make sure that you're asking your realtor and you're asking your lender to keep and document those things in writing, so that everyone knows the exact terms of what is being agreed upon through the sale of the property that you have selected. And our last tip for today is to avoid closing scams. After you close, the sale of the property is public record, and you will immediately start getting things in the mail, and they look official. Please don't get scammed. If you're wondering if something is real or legitimate or that's paperwork that you really need to complete, please reach out to your realtor or the title company for verification. They will never call and ask you to send them an additional check or ask for your identification information or ask you to send them something that seems sensitive to you as an individual after the closing of your property. Now, the title company may come back and say, hey, there's an additional form I need you to sign because the closing of the mortgage closing is requiring this extra form. If that happens, reach out to the lender, your realtor, make sure that it's not a scam. And generally, those forms will either go through a signing service like DocuSign, or the title company will ask you to come to their office. But everybody should be in the loop about any additional information after the close of a property so that you do not get scammed in that process. That wraps us up for today and our tips for buying your first home. Buying your first home is exciting, but it also can feel a little bit overwhelming. At the Ayala Prime Properties team, we're here to guide you every step of the way. If you have questions, if you want a more in-depth information session on any of these tips, please reach out to us. We will post a link below, or you can reach out to our team. Our contact information is right here. We are happy to help you. We're happy to answer your questions. And most importantly, we want to help you get into your first home. So if you're in the greater Houston area and you're looking for your first home, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a wonderful day and happy 2026.